Hi guys, thanks for visiting my channel. I hope you are enjoying the dog days of summer. And speaking of summer, we are going to use some delicious summer corn to make a wonderful roasted corn stock. Now, if you've watched many of my videos, you know how often I sing the praises of homemade stock, but usually it's chicken or turkey. Haven't really mastered beef bone broth yet. It's on my radar, but I have made it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but certainly chicken and turkey. And today we're going to be making corn stock. But to bump up the flavor, we're going to roast the corn first. So I have 20 ears of corn here. And what we're going to do is we're going to roast them in the oven on 450 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes until the corn is done and it starts smelling really fragrant. Now, if you don't want to heat up your kitchen, you could always do this on the grill. You just want to turn them every 10 minutes or so until they're done. Like I said, it should be 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to pop my corn in the oven, and when we come back, we're going to shuck it, and then we're going to cut the corn off of the cob, and we're going to use the cobs to make a delicious stock. So I will bring you back. Okay guys, I just wanted to bring you in close and show you what I have going on in the oven and show you how I fit so much corn in my oven for roasting. I just used sheet pans, and then every 10 minutes I'm turning all of the corn over, and I'm also rotating my trays. So if that gives you an idea of how you can do it in your oven, that's what I did. And like I said, you could also do it on the grill. So when we're done, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, my corn is done. I want to show you what you're looking for. You want it to be, first of all, your kitchen's going to smell absolutely amazing. It should be very fragrant. You should smell corn, and it should be nicely toasted and blackened on some sides, and then you know it's done. I roasted mine for about 40 minutes, and like I said, I turned them, rotated my trays, and so it'll get done evenly. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to let this cool, and when it's cool enough to handle, I'm going to shuck the corn. And then when I bring you back, I'm going to show you how to cut it off the cob, and the cobs are what we're going to use to make our delicious stock. Okay guys, how fun was that? Not too hard, right? You can skip the roasting of the corn if you want to, but the roasting really brings out that delicious flavor of the sweet corn. So I highly encourage you to not skip that step. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of our corn cobs and put them in our nice big stock pot. And to that, we are going to add, I went out to my little herb garden and got some parsley stems and some thyme, some fresh thyme. So you want some parsley and some fresh thyme. I also have 2 large onions that I cut in half, and then I removed the ends and the paper. And then I have a tablespoon of peppercorns. And then we're going to add 3 bay leaves. And then we're going to cover all of that with 6.5 quarts of water. And then we're going to turn it up to high to get it going. Once it starts simmering, you want to keep it on about a medium-low heat and let it simmer, and we're going to let it go for about 1.5 hours. until our stock is really delicious. And then I'm going to show you how to can it up. Now, if you're not a canner, that's totally fine. You do not have to can stock. It freezes beautifully. So if you don't want to can it, skip that part, but still I highly encourage you to make the stock and just store it in your freezer. Freezer bags work beautifully for storing stock. So anyway, when I bring you back, we're going to can it up. Okay guys, we're back. I cooked my stock for about 2.5 hours. You want it to be really nice and flavorful, and your kitchen will smell amazing. So you'll know when it's ready, but you can cook it as long as you want to cook it. But I would cook it at least 1.5 hours. Like I said, I cooked mine for 2.5. So now we're ready to strain it off, and I've removed all of the corn cobs, and I'm just going to use my handy dandy little strainer here and to catch all the little stuff, and then we'll be ready to can it up. Okay, and that's good for me. If you want to, you can put cheesecloth on top of your strainer, but I don't care. That little bits of whatever I've used to season it with get into my stock. So anyway, I'm gonna get my canner ready and my jars ready, and I will bring you back. Okay guys, we're ready to rock and roll. If you are not interested in the canning part, like I said, when you're done straining it off, you can go ahead and freeze it and it will be delicious. But if you're a canner, keep following along. As I always say, or I always try to remember to say, modern canning guidelines state that you do not have to sterilize your jars or your lids if you're going to be canning for longer than 10 minutes or longer, and we are. So I'm going to be doing mine in quarts. If you want to do in pints, that's totally fine. Quarts are going to be timed at 35 minutes and pints are at 30 minutes. So we're going to be looking for 35 minutes, and just make sure your jars are nice and squeaky clean and they're hot. Also, if you let your stock cool at all, you want to make sure you bring it back up to simmering, and you're going to put it in a nice hot jar. So here we go. And I have 2 inches of simmering water in my canner. And we want 1 inch headspace. The stock is so good, you guys, and my kitchen smells amazing. Great for so many things. And I think I have summer corn chowder on my radar. Such a pretty color. Okay, so fill your jar to 1 inch headspace. I use a paper towel dipped in white vinegar to clean the rims of my jars. There's nothing to debubble, so we're not debubbling this time. And then we're going to center our lid and then add our rings to fingertip tight. And in the canner they go. Look at that beautiful color. Looks like sunshine in a jar. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I did add some salt to mine. Salt is entirely up to you. You can have it salted or unsalted. I like to salt my stock, so I used about 3 tablespoons of salt in my stock, and I got 5 quart jars out of the batch that we did. So I did simmer mine with the lid kind of half off of the pot. So there was some evaporation that took place. So, because we did start out with 6.5 quarts of water, and it cooked down to about 5 quarts. So anyway, we're going to put our lid on. And for the All-American canner, you look for the notch in the front. Add your lid, line it up with your arrow. I make sure it's fairly even. And then you're going to tighten your thumb screws 2 at a time, and you want to do opposites. Ooh, hot. All right, crank your heat up to high. We are going to watch it vent. There should be steam coming out of your vent for 10 minutes, and then at 10 minutes we're going to add our weight. Make sure you know your altitude and know if you need to make any adjustments for altitude. I do not, so we're going to be canning at 10 pounds of pressure for 35 minutes. So once we're done venting and we start timing, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, this is what I mean by venting. I think you can see on camera there's steam pouring out of my vent, and we need for that to happen for 10 minutes. The other thing that I did want to mention that I forgot to do, so before it started venting, I went back and opened my canner and poured the 2 tablespoons of vinegar into my water. If you haven't seen any of my other canning videos, I put the vinegar in my water because it helps keep your jars clean during the canning process. We tend to have minerals in our water that like to collect on the outside of the jars, and it's a real pain to try to clean it off. So it's just easier to put the vinegar in the water. So I did do that before it started venting. I forgot to do it when you saw me in the last clip. I'd forgotten to do it, and I went back and did it. So I just wanted to remind you of that. So when we are done with our 10 minutes, I'm going to put my weight on, and then we're going to bring it up to pressure, and then we'll start timing. Okay guys, my 10 minutes of venting is up. I'm going to add my weight for 10 pounds of pressure. Like I said, make sure you know your altitude to know if you need to make adjustments to that. Go ahead and put that on the vent. I'm going to bring my temperature up to 240 degrees, or 10 to 11 pounds of pressure for my canner. So make sure you follow all of the manufacturer's instructions on your canner. Once we get there, my weight will start rocking and rolling, and then we'll start timing our 35 minutes. If you're doing pints, it's 30 minutes. Okay guys, hear that? That means it's time to start timing. I'm gonna set my timer for 35 minutes. Also, I wanted to just let you know that your weight should rock 1 to 3 times a minute. We don't want it rocking that hard the whole time. So you want to adjust your heat. For me, that's turning my stove to a medium heat, and then it will rock 1 to 3 times a minute for me. So you just have to play with your stove and figure out what that means for you, where you need to set it to keep that rocking 1 to 3 times a minute. But this is too much. We don't want that. That's what we want. So adjust your heat, 35 minutes, and we will be back. Okay guys, we are all done. When my processing time was over, I turned my canner off and let it return to pressure naturally. Then I removed my weight, waited 5 minutes, took my lid off, and then let my jars cool in my canner for 10 minutes. So that's where we are right now. So it's time to take them out. Looks like they've all already sealed. And we have 5 quarts of beautiful roasted corn stock. I'm so excited to use it. And you could use this for all kinds of things. Obviously, it's the perfect choice for chowder or a vegetable soup. It would also be great in risotto or grits. Any place you want that roasted corn flavor in the background, it would be perfect. So let me give you an up close look. I know we looked at it earlier, but see how beautiful that is? That golden color, just gorgeous. It smells amazing and it tastes amazing. So I hope you'll give it a try. As always, when you're finished canning, you want to let your jars sit for 24 hours. Make sure you check the seals once they start to cool. Make sure they did seal. If they didn't seal, whatever didn't seal, you can put in the refrigerator, but it's rare that happens. Anyway, so you want to let them sit for 24 hours undisturbed, and then you want to remove the rings, wash your jars. I always use hot soapy water with a little bit of vinegar in it to wash my jars, and then you can label them and store them in a cool, dry place. So I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today, and I hope you'll give this stock a try. It did take a while to do, so it's a great project for a lazy weekend day, which is what I'm doing as part of my weekend. But it's really great, totally worth the effort. And wanted to mention the obvious: to save the corn that you cut off of the cob, you can freeze it for later use, eat it right then, make something with it later in the week or whatever. So it's great frozen. Also, just throw it in the freezer, and whenever you want some roasted corn, you have it on hand. So I hope you'll give this a try. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.